of Maritime Studies, Pune, my senior, my senior and old friend and moderator, Dr. B.K. Saxena, former principal, Tolani Maritime Institute and member, MRDB, IEI, dear Mr. Bindu Mohan, Chairman and Managing Director, Messrs. KVR, Marine Technologies, Technocrat Private Limited, as a special invitee to MRDB, IEI, our council members, state center, local center chairman, secretaries, committee members, and marine members of IEI and other participants. I feel so proud and privileged to welcome all of you for this Marine Division Board webinar. And the excellent theme of today's webinar is Technological Innovation, Trends in Training. I will talk a little bit about our technology advancement and the training. How technology is changing the maritime industry. So what are these new technologies that are already having in and affect the marine industry, and what changes are finally actually making, they already actually making. The shipping industry is undergoing a technological revolution. The age-old industry, which till the last decade was hesitant to harness new technology, has now taken up all-round modernization with a vengeance. Technology, and in particular, future technologies, is changing the way that pretty much every industry on the face of the planet operates. And one sector that is having to adopt the new way of doing things is the shipping industry, which has seen technological advancement and lot of changes on a great scale in areas of the space shipping, our shipbuilding, modern intelligent engines, and vessel navigation, and other based processes such as maritime recruitment and crew management. Today, globally, the industry as a whole is exploring and implementing new technology in all spheres of the trade, ports, ships, systems, and processes, and allied services are all getting a technological facelift. The industry's efforts to digitalize are also being aided by startups that are creating technological solutions especially for it. Technologies like robotics technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, Internet of Things, IoT, blockchain technology, drones, and augmented reality are being harnessed to create a safer, efficient, and more productive environment to carry out export and import trade in shipping. It is equally clear that the biggest impact is still to come. Marine industries across the spectrum with the technological advances in areas such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and automated chips and connected devices, which have opportunities and threats they pose. But the industry now faces a tipping point where technological developments such as autonomous and smart ships are turning the realms of science fiction into a hard fact. At the same time, the sector is facing unprecedented cost pressures and stricter regulatory backdrop of environmental restrictions, and persistent harder. The emergence of such high level of innovation and change brings with the new risks of has huge opportunities. But with the new generation of seafarers coming up through the ranks, the generation that has been brought up on computers, mobile phones, social media, and connectivity, this means that our industry is going to become ever more likely to embrace marine technology and the changes to brings about in seafarers' jobs like life at sea and office operations. Shipping companies continues to invest heavily in the modernization of schools and training facilities in order to attain the attain and maintain the highest training levels. Efforts must also be made placed in the promotion of seagoing careers, while at the same time, most maritime education and training as attractive and interesting as other disciplines, and we believe can be achieved through innovations. New technologies provide opportunities for training institutions and crew managers to take advantage of emerging business models and improve recruitment processes in the same way. They allow students and prospective students to adopt the vast knowledge and information that are now easier to obtain through information technology. As far as human resource is concerned, we need to be able to supply seafarers whose skills meet the technical requirements of modern vessels and the commercial needs to ship owners and their customers. Thus, this we understand is something to be valued not only to the ship operations in specific, but also in the wider international shipping community. There are also severe shortage of well-qualified seafarers at different levels of seniority. To improve quality of the seafarers, IMO International Maritime Organization started the study of and established international standard, that is STCW convention, and regarded in the competencies in the STCW mainly based on the technical and management skills, as well as long duration practical studies at sea training. The STCW is main reference of the maritime education and training, that is MET. A major change is made in the STCW in 2011, which is required changes of MET programs. The change lead to the diversity of MET training courses, the existence and development of MET programs. All these facts make the design and delivery of the MET very this is complex and require detailed studies. All marine players need to solve the requirement of qualified seafarers, which is directly related to maritime education and training system. The MET is dynamic field, needs to have continuous review and update process supported with transfer of technology and innovation in the light of previous experiment and future strategies. The MET institution should rearrange their organization and management systems to support the research requirement of the maritime industry to cope up with the new technology developments and challenges. This small introduction, I leave it to the our eminent speakers with the expertise to give us more valuable objectives and special information and suggestions and to enhance the advancement of the maritime industry. I once again welcome the eminent personalities on August gathering. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much.
Dr. G. Ranganathan, distinguished citizen of India, who is presiding over this webinar in the absence of our president, who is in the flight, Nagpur to Lucknow flight. Dr. Ranganathan is spearheading the quest for excellence in technology and engineering at the Institution of Engineers. Commander Pallav Prakash, a young and dynamic guest of honor, an expert in e-vehicles. Dr. B.K. Saxena, sir, whose wisdom and sagacity are propelling Marine Division to the greater heights. Distinguished faculties, Engineer Lakshman, the Global Maintenance Head of ROCAM, and Engineer Mahesh Patel, the Quality Crusader from Samudra Institute of Maritime Studies, Engineers S. Kannan and Engineer K. Bindumon, the luminary of Marine Division Board, our friend, philosopher and guide, Emeritus Professor Dr. Banwetsa, Engineer Brahma Reddy, my colleague at IAI Council and Chairman Telangana State Center. Participants, dear students, staff from headquarters, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good evening to all. As you know, the industries world over have achieved considerable milestones with the use of modern technologies. The electronic, communication, automotive, space, and aviation industries, as you will see, have established good precedents in leveraging technology for the improvement of quality, productivity, and sustainability of the operations. However, the application of engineering technology is somewhat at a slower pace in maritime industries. The Industrial Revolution 4.0 has brought the maritime operation on the cusp of technology transformations. The responsiveness and resilience of maritime economy are greatly dependent upon the quick adaptation of the engineering technology. Thus, there is a need to create necessary skills and expertise through the means of training. In the maritime sector, many technologies like 3D printing, robotics, 3D modeling of ship design, modular construction, usage of advanced materials, virtual and augmented reality, LNG stove, methanol propulsion, and high velocity, high temperature coatings can shift the cost consideration of marine operations. Leveraging these technologies in concert with artificial intelligence, modeling and simulation will lead to the digital shifts. The diligence in digital shifts would emerge as the most responsive way of dealing with the ever-evolving training needs of the mariners. That too at affordable cost and also at the convenient time. Marine Engineering Division Board, Institution of Engineers, in its effort to promote technological excellence in the maritime domain, has embarked upon ambitious programs. We are getting a very strong encouragement, guidance from our President, Dr. H.O. Thackeray, and Chairman for Committee for Technology and Engineering, Dr. G. Ranganathji. Today, our program calendar is booked for the complete year, and there is no slot for the new programs to be allotted. The rejuvenated team has facilitated the availability of distinguished personalities to share their vision on these important topics. I am confident that the participants would be greatly benefited from the visionary speakers. I wish the webinar great success. Shanau Varuna, may Lord Varuna bless us all. I thank you all, the guests, faculty, participants, and IAI headquarters staff for the success of this webinar. Thank you indeed. Jai Hind. Now may I request Dr. G. Ranganathan the Chairman Kate to share his views, please.
Thank you, Chairman Maritime Division Board Bandarkarji. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, audible, sir.
Thank you, Bandarkarji. In absentia of President Dr. H.O. Thackeray of IEI, my good colleague in the council, who is elected corporate member for the Division of Marine, Commander Bhaskar Bandarkarji, who is the Chairman of Maritime Division Board. Other two good colleagues in a council, Engineer Kannan, good friend of me from long years, Chairman of Tamil Nadu State Center, which belongs to again Maritime Division Board, Engineer Brahma Reddy, Chairman Telangana State Center, though he belongs to some other division of like ETC, but he show interest in attending a good number of technical programs in all the boards, encouraging them. The professor from Maritime University, who is the chief guest, Dr. Raju Balaji sir, Commander Pallav Prakash, young and dynamic man from USA, who is the guest of honor, whom I am supposed to thank, being all the way from USA, having big love and affection on India, and big love and affection on technical activities and participating in this program. Two important panelists, Lakshmanan sir as well as Mahesh Patil ji. And apart from all these things, the important moderator, Dr. B.K. Saxena ji. Then Bindu Mohan, who is the member in the Maritime Division Board, and all the members in the Maritime Division Board, and all the participants for this wonderful program. I think more than about 35 participants are attending this program. So good evening to all of you. Though I'm not talking on a topic of your marine, but I want to share, when I was the chairman of Tamil Nadu State Center between 16 to 18, when I taken the convention of Marine Division Board, I had a shiver in myself how to run this show, because field is totally different to me. But I chosen by approaching the Marine Division by then, the convention of Marine to conduct in Chennai. When I given this task to our Kannan, who is the present chairman of Tamil Nadu State Center, he made me to feel comfortable sleeping, because he has taken so much of strain and pain and mobilized a wonderful guest, made a good number of participants, and beyond all these things, big group of marine engineers, marine executives from different parts of the country, they're all there in Chennai for 2 days. And really, I cannot forget the show, what Kannan has conducted. And this all the members in Marine, they have shown so much of interest. There, I appealed all the members, including some of the members from Marine University, Marine College, they were all attended. In 2016-17, I appealed them. Yes, it is true in India, there's a good number of engineers are working in Marine Division. Their contribution, one cannot question, a big contribution for Indian growth, Indian economy, and especially Indian transport from India side. Otherwise, in a global, marine industry is working in doing a big service in transporting goods. Everyone know it, no second doubt. But my appeal from bottom of my heart, and the other day I told, encourage all these young engineers who are coming from this graduation of the marine sides to come forward and enroll themselves as a member of this forum of IEI. It is centuries old fold. Century celebration is already over. But Marine Division members' contribution for the country is bigger way. But marine engineers enrolling in IEI is smaller way. As on today, only one council member, elected council member. Always the council vacancy will depend upon size of the corporate members. And repeatedly I used to tell to every members, I want to see at least when 2025, when council elections happen in India for this IEI, minimum 2 council members vacancies should be there. minimum tool stalwarts like Bhandarkarji has to enter this forum. Why I am telling stalwart Bhandarkarji? The way he is picking the programs, the way he is choosing the topics, the way he is selecting the panelists and bringing the panelists, the way he is communicating with members to participate, it's all no words to explain. I am so happy. My bottom of my heart, I am telling, I am so happy for Bhandarkarji's contribution. Though it is a smaller division, he has taken a lead when compared to so many other divisions in doing good number of activities in the span of almost all about 6 months. Even other divisions has to fight with him to do these activities by taking even 2 years. Bhandarkarji, hats off to you. Please go ahead. I am very happy to be with you, sir. And you got a good team. You got a good friend Kannanji, as well as our Bindu Mohan.
Thank you,
Certainly,
sir.
they both are going to be with you, doing a good job. And both are again very good. And our moderator Saxena ji is no more to say. They're all stalwarts in the field. And I don't want to take much of our time because all our participants, they're eagerly waiting to listen to the speakers rather than our formalities. That's why I don't want to take more time. Otherwise, my best wishes to all of you. And I'm very happy for King Shu, who has taken a good initiation in coordinating all the division board chairmen and taking this events to happen. With this, by wishing my bottom of my heart through IAI headquarters and with the president of IAI as well as a category chairman, by thanking all the chief guests, guest of honor, panelists, and all the participants, by wishing all of you, please let me see you again. And I had to attend another meeting at 7 o'clock. You have to excuse me, all of you, and I'm missing all of you. So thank you.
Before I hand over to Dr. Saxena sir, I take this opportunity to thank Vice President of Institution of Engineer V.V. Singh, who was attending our program. I also take this opportunity to thank a distinguished personality from IIT Bombay, Vice Chancellor and Professor Emeritus, my friend, philosopher guide, Dr. Banwegji, who is attending this program. Now I hand over to Dr. B.K. Saxena for further proceedings. Dr. Saxena, sir.
Thank you, Commander Bhandarkar. I hope I'm audible. And greetings, everyone, from Pune. I'm in Pune. And the dignitaries of the program, the speakers, and other audience, good evening. Mr. Kannan and also Commander Bhandarkar have given a view of various new technologies which are coming in. I mean, changes are imperative. A lot of new things are happening all over, and marine is no exception. Okay. Dr. Chairman of the CATE had also mentioned about the importance of it. So before I invite the guest of honor, I'll just like to spend maybe 2 minutes or so on the importance of this particular topic or theme. Maritime education and training is really very relevant for our country, because almost 15% of the global seafarers are Indians, okay, which is a large number, of course. And not only that, many of the offices of the commercial shipping all over the world are manned by Indians. So we're not talking just the operating people on the ships, but also people who are ensuring that the ships are getting adequate business and are run properly. Okay. There are certain challenges. You see, the challenges are that technology keeps on moving at its own pace. It's very difficult to stop or to slow down the development of technology. But the maritime education needs to keep pace with that. Okay. Now that's where the challenges, that's where the difficulties come. I'm sure most of you are aware that maritime education is something which is global. Okay. It's not something which is limited to a particular nation or something. No. So the syllabus, etc., comes from International Maritime Organization, which is the part of the United Nations Agency for the commercial shipping, and that is deciphered or made more elaborate by the Maritime Administration in the country, which is by the Director General of Shipping. Okay. Now, to keep the syllabus up to date is a big challenge. Okay. Because it's not very easy for a convention, STCW convention, which is the main convention from where everything comes of IMO. Amendments are not very easy to bring in. Okay. And therefore, not only the Maritime Administration, but more importantly, the university and the college administration must be a little open that there is a little bit of flexibility in the syllabus. The syllabus cannot be very rigid. And that's where the industry comes in. Okay. Because industry, you see, marine engineering is a very multidisciplinary thing, and it is not like any other education where you just provide education. Here it is, a lot is on the skills also. Okay. In fact, even 30-35% of our syllabus is hardcore practicals. Okay. So the industry must provide this inputs to academia that these are the new things which are coming, and please upgrade yourself. Okay. Now that brings in another challenge, because when you have 35% of your curriculum which has to be delivered in skill mode, you need hardware to that, to take care of that. Okay. So the equipment in the training institutes, etc., need to be in line with what is really required. So these are some of the challenges which are there. And one, somebody had referred to the aviation industry. See, aviation industry, there's a lot of standardization, Okay. Whereas in our industry, unfortunately, there's not very much of standardization. So a young graduate from a marine engineering college may land up on a ship which may be 2 years old with extremely modern technologies there. On the other hand, another graduate may land up on a ship which is 25 years old. Okay, that is also working. So therefore, I mean, it is very difficult to say that, we will only teach this, we will not teach this, Okay. And I've been in the maritime education for almost 30 years. And this is a challenge which I've been facing day in, day out for many, many years. I'm very happy that this particular theme has been chosen by the organizers. And we have a very knowledgeable speakers, starting from the guest of honor and the two panelists. So I will now introduce the guest of honor. I'm not introducing the chief guest because he is not joined as yet. Okay. So guest of honor is Commander Pallav, Prakash Pallav, retired from the Indian Navy. He is presently working as a program manager in Zoom Services, United States. And I'm so very happy that he is able to join us from California. And it's right early morning there. So thank you, Commander Pallav, for taking this initiative and joining all of us. He brings expertise in innovation, technology, risk mitigation, program management. He has 2 decades of global experience, especially working extensively with the governments, MNCs, enterprises, startups. He has served in Indian Navy, of course, and has been on the panel of various expert groups in NATO. He has also been a guest lecturer in IIT Delhi. He is a submariner, and which again explains a lot. I mean, it's not an easy job to work in the enclosed environment of a submarine. He is based out of the innovation hub that is Silicon Valley in California. is currently engaged in deploying electrical vehicles, set up large-scale charging infrastructure, including the latest V2G, that is vehicle to grid technology across the school systems in US. He is deeply involved in developing and scaling the go-to-market strategies for futuristic technologies. He has been invited as a subject matter expert in the Stanford University to judge innovation that impact real economy. He is an alumnus of IIM Lucknow and the Johns Hopkins University. So with these words, once again, warm welcome to Commander Prakash Pallav, and the floor is all yours, sir.
So very good morning to you. Actually, good evening at your time, and good morning to you from here in California. Dr. Saxena sir, thank you for your kind words and kind introduction. And so without taking much time of the August audience, I would like to get to the basics. And so I would like to start my part of the, as I said, talk, not speech, but talk with a note about myself, as Dr. Saxena has brought out, that I've been a career naval officer, a submariner, and now an economist. So with my past tenures on ships, submarines, naval headquarters, and managing training for naval officers for over 4 years, I have now moved on to the next stage, which is how to shape the technologies of tomorrow to benefit the mankind. I'm based out of San Francisco, the innovation hub, and being an alumnus of Johns Hopkins, background in economics from Kanpur University, and my hardcore physical sciences experience, it makes a good concoction of how to go about innovation and the future trends in technology. So I would like to start with a quote that I very dearly endure, and that is, a pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change, but the realist adjusts the sails. So this is something that, William Arthur Ward said many, many years ago, but it has still stuck with me. I would like to say that training is a realist's game. For it has to adjust much like as a sail, and as per the requirements of the ship and the shipping industry. So when I was in Naval Academy back in the days, the daily rigors of physical training made me run past a signboard every day. And believe you me, every day. And it read, in the times of crisis, you don't rise to the occasion, but to the default level of training. And that's what I would like to emphasize about. So in all honesty, at that time, I couldn't fathom the depth of these words, depth of this message, till many, many years later, when I was deployed on one of the submarines, and we went across through a life-threatening, a critical situation, a situation of national importance, several hundred meters below the sea. We had this situation, and guess what? I saw no superheroes. I saw no Supermans, and flowing around in their capes. But what I saw was a bunch of ordinary guys doing what they had been trained for, exactly for the moments like this. So they went about in the most mundane fashion, as if they were completely unaware of the perils of the life and the lives of others. So this is something that training does to people, and therefore I would say training for life at sea has three important components. It has the perils of the sea. It has a situation where there is no support, supervision, or guidance. It has no time to open books, manuals, and SOPs and guides, and a phone call, WhatsApp call, or whatever satellite call. So to me, this translates that efficacy of a good training is measured in terms of the boring fashion in which you handle the most unexpected, exciting, and perilous situation at sea. That's what training does to you. And you can see, so here's a small slide. This is based on a 2014 study. And it talks about what are the challenges in front of us. Isn't it interesting to know that over 80% of accidents and incidents are due to human error? And the top 25% of the world's fleet has 7% accidents, whereas the bottom 25% of the world's fleet has over 50% of maritime accidents. And with accidents, I would also include incidents into it, incidents that are reported. What is more interesting is that if you start from the bottom and start addressing these issues, addressing 25% actually mitigates and reduces accidents and incidents by 72%. So here, what we understand from these data points is that these challenges are not too insurmountable. What is important is to understand and work towards it in a manner where we aim to develop skills and not master the technology. And subsequently, I would show why it is important not to master technology, but to develop skills. So to me, maritime training can be divided into two distinct components, a part that makes you a better mariner and a better professional, and the other part that makes you adept at handling contingencies. So I would say what makes you a better mariner is largely comprising of your vessel, your equipment, machinery, navigation, rules of the road, maritime regulations, trim and stability calculation, load calculations, so on and so forth. But the second part is what you hope never to have. Never to have. And that would include, firefighting, that would look accidents and emergencies, that would look abandoned ship, pirate attacks, diplomacy issues, a vessel getting stuck in Suez Canal, or for what, Russia-Ukraine thing is going on, and oil tankers moving on without insurance, without, without adequate protection. So these are the challenges we deal with. So therefore, the fidelity of training is of paramount importance, and we need to assess its effectiveness. Now, training has seen many metamorphosing moments. And from the early days of Gurukuls, where the pupil would leave, go to an institution and be in the possession of the Guru and the Guru's feet in the tenets of Brahmacharya, to now e-Gurukuls where don't even have to step out of the bed. The laptop or the iPad does everything. So the concept have changed. The contents also may have changed. The delivery also may have changed, but the importance has not. So we need to understand this importance. So the progression of maritime training today is no different. It is a challenge to keep pace with advancements. And in my opinion, it demands various, training tools that we can overcome these challenges. I'm also an extremely firm believer that while simulators provide you a fidelity of training and gives out various scenarios, there is nothing compares when you train at sea. So I would always say that if I were to be the one, I would always go after a person who's more trained at sea, more exposed at sea, because that's what real life is all about. And therefore, moving on to the so I wanted to put another quote, which makes a lot of sense, and why I say that we need to have people at sea with more experience. So here it is. I hear and I forget. That's what iPads and podcasts do to you in today's world. I see and I remember. So I go through a training process and I remember something. But when I'm at sea, I do and I understand. So that's what makes more sense for any mariner in today's ever challenging environment. So I have divided the modern day challenges into 5 distinct, I would say, groups, and how we should go about. One of it is skill development through mentorship. A strong mentorship program, a strong training program puts students or prospective candidates for the future at the right footing. Then data and technology management, competency and targeted training to compete with Moore's law. So now what is Moore's law? Moore's law is a law in information technology that says that the power of any processor, that means the processing power, is likely to get doubled in 3 years' time, in just about 3 years' time. So today you have processor A from company B, and you would find and this processor with a power of X would become 2x within 3 years. That means you are adding twice the computing capability. So that's what Moore's law is. And it's a challenge in modern day environment where the ships are made in less than a year to cope up with such changes, because the technology is changing very fast. Then we go to that standard concept of Delphi method, where trainers need to adopt and stipulate criteria for training. So what is Delphi method? I would just briefly touch upon it. Delphi method, as you all know very well, is a gathering of august and learned people who decide what should be the emphasis for any training. It is a group of so-called, and pardon me to be, I would say, gender biased here or sexist here. It's a group of a few wise men from the industry, from the hardcore competency, who are practicing, who decide what should be of most importance. So, and then flows removal of bias using all kinds of hard data. The bias could be place, gender, bias could be race, bias could be country of origin, bias could be in many forms. I don't like your face kind of thing to anything. So I would like to sum up the modern day challenges into a couple of points and how we need to work on it. That is, we need to optimize the width and depth of training for the current realities. As I said, keep up with the Moore's law. Rapidly changing nature of underlying technology. Now, Moore's law and Delphi method coming into one. And nowadays, let's not forget, need to be prepared for something like a black swan, which is an event like COVID. I mean, who would have thought that 2 years of COVID would change the world the way we live? Now, other thing I would also, put it into the category of challenges is the geopolitical environment. This is something we need to learn to adapt fast. Then technology proliferation in maritime industry. We have already discussed that. A key important thing which I'm now beginning to see, at least in this part of the world, and I'm sure it is definitely in India also, is the crew of millennials and their familiarity with digital technology. Gone are those days when we would struggle in front of instrument panel or a radar screen. Today's technology is different, and today's millennials handle it more in a more adept fashion. And last and not the least, in the maritime world, one of the most important component that I see coming is the ability to understand the fiscal and the monetary challenges due to very stressed margins that exist in the business. The margins have been coming down drastically. So that being said, I would like to touch upon what we say the new trends in the training. So what are the new trends that I've begun to see, or we have begun to notice? One is technology is an enabler and a facilitator. It's no more a complex learning phase where you try and show your skills. It is about learning using technology to demonstrate skills on the ground and at sea. Then harnessing the power of cloud technologies. Today, practically every software that we use on board ships, submarines, any marine tool uses cloud as a technology. So ability to harness that power. You don't need to remember everything, but what you need to know is how to harness it, how to use it. Then deployment of AI. My previous guests and panelists have already brought it out. It need not be overstressed. Deployment of AI. And last but not the least is the case studies. That's very important. Somewhere we need to start working through case studies, merging the shipping situations with the business situations, and why, what, where, and the stress that it creates in the environment. A small note here: these training should be driven by digital technologies. Why? Because A, they help you target, and they have the minimal bias. So I would sum up this slide and say that what we should be looking at are the hybrid training models. We should look at the increased use of augmented and virtual realities, more concentration on 3D models, focused training, simulators versus virtual reality goggles. These days, you don't need to stand in a full-blown simulator. The virtual reality goggles would do a lot of stuff. Then comes the wearable technology. Broad spectrum of training must also include legal, security, and environment. A key point in all of this is a seamless movement between the institutes who catch up with the latest in technology and device training curriculum to the marine operators when these under trainees come on board ships. And of course, a very concentrated and focused hands-on training for the compressed timelines that we have. And I would quote the current serving, Deputy Chief of Naval Staff, who's actually the head of operations for the Indian Navy, Vice Admiral Sanjay Mahendru, Nausena Medal. He was my commanding officer on board INS Shalki HDW submarine. And his famous line to me was, "Pallav, your orders must sing." This one line is, you cannot emphasize more with what it means to training. Unless you are trained, you won't sing. So your orders must sing. And therefore, I quote him, though it's been years we touched base, but I still remember my early days where he would say this. Going forward, I would say what should be the way ahead. And this is my concluding part on this. The way ahead I see is integration of digital skills to enhance competence, integrating maritime law, business finance, remote operation. This is another thing that has started, remote operation, and other new technology-based skills to expand the STCW training mandate, within the realms of STCW training, uplifting knowledge of instructors for the future to be able to update the new training process. That's equally important. And of course, creating a strong interdisciplinary environment to link researchers with maritime professionals. That is important. And I'll just give you a small example here. It is a documented fact that most accidents occur between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. And in these accidents, it is the body that needs rest. And because of that, you have a lot of human error. So to overcome that, this is the research. Now, how do I put it into training? We make sure we somewhere ensure that the person who has to do this watch between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. is actually had a good night's sleep till that person comes, or I would say not night sleep, actually good day's sleep before the person comes on the watch. So that would be the way to go ahead. Then I would also say that it is established, it's also about the professional experience of the mariners and the competence to be able to take the values and the learning, the lessons learned forward and disseminate amongst people. Effective transfer schemes between academies and companies. And finally, you cannot, this need not be, I would say, left behind. And it is one of the most important things, is the seafarer's soft skills. And in ICT, or I would say Internet Communication Technologies, and leadership and management with new training programs. There's a movie by Tom Hanks, who's the skipper of one of the ships and pirated. It's based on the real stuff. But what is of importance there that comes out is the soft skills in handling such troubled situations. So, but my last bit to any mariner is that at the end of the day, keep an all-round sharp watch. An alert set of eyes and ears have saved more lives than any technology. And that is something we must never forget. So with this, I have finished. Any questions, please, most welcome.
Thank you, Commander Pallav. Excellent introduction and excellent startup of this program, because you have not only touched on the challenges of the seafaring, but also, the importance of things. It's not just the education and the skills, but also, a lot of other things for which a seafarer has to be ready. And you just referred to the Maersk Alabama case, that the Tom Hanks movie. I know seafarers. I know somebody who was captive for 7 months. Imagine the kind of pressures which the person has to, and not only that, the families see. And same thing in now Ukraine. For months together, there have been ships, commercial ships, which have been hit and went down. People have died. So all kinds of other scenarios keep on facing the seafarer. Soft skills are very, very important. And you have on a ship today from 4 or 5 nationalities. See, so that itself is a very important challenge. You see, because one must appreciate how another nationality person behaves, and including the presence of females on the ship. Today, there are a lot of officers, both engineers and nautical officers, who are female, right up to the masters and chief engineers. So those are new challenges which were not there earlier. Yeah. So thank you very much for a very interesting talk. And definitely, yes, the watch has to be kept properly. Otherwise, and you very rightly said, all the technology, all the instruments, they will tell us afterwards. First, your eyes, ears, and nose will tell you what is happening. Yes. So thank you very much once again. And
Thank you, sir.
are there any questions? Anybody wants to ask any questions? No negative. So
sorry to interrupt, Saxena sir.
yes,
I
please.
can see a few attendees have raised the hand. There are
Okay.
4 of them.
Okay. Let's see. I'm not able to see that, but Mr. Commander Bhandarkar, should we take some questions? As long as
I
yeah,
think we'll take at the end of the session, sir.
we'll take at the end of the session.
So
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, gentlemen who have the questions, could you please hold on, and once our sessions are over, then we will have a Q&A session. Okay. I think Dr. Balaji is not there as yet, Commander Bhandarkar. So, should we go directly to the next, the first panelist?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So, gentlemen, we have our first panelist, and that's Mr. Lakshman. So, I'm just going to briefly introduce him. He is a graduate from my own alma mater, DMIT Kolkata. Of course, many decades afterwards. He has sailed for many years, and he holds the Class 1 certificate, that is the Chief Engineer Certificate of Competency. He's a member of Institute of Marine Engineers, Institution of Engineers, and many others. He's a chartered engineer, of course. He started sailing on the commercial ships, and then as a chief engineer of all kinds of ships, including tankers, bulk carriers, container ships, OSVs, and different kinds of ships. And then he came ashore, and eventually he was the head of the technical management of a very important shipping company, and managing the offshore vessels. These are the very exclusive and complicated vessels which provide support to the offshore oil industry. And in India, we have many such oil production units, and these offshore vessels do an excellent job, and managing them is not very easy. So, and then he was the chief operating officer of the TAG Offshore, a very prominent offshore company in India. He was also involved in new construction and projects, monitoring constructions of the ship, modification, conversion, retrofit. Okay. So this is yet another kind of experience, you see. Experience at sea, experience in the office, and then hardcore construction and retrofitting experience. Okay. He's been a head of the projects and fleet director with CS Offshore from 2014 to 2016. Okay. He's been a maritime surveyor and a consultant to the Indian Register of Shipping, which is the Indian Classification Society. He has been secretary to the Institute of Marine Engineers for many years, and he has done projects with DRDO. Okay. So with these words, gentlemen, I extend a warm welcome to Mr. Lakshman. And incidentally, he is traveling and he is in the train. And I mean, I have seen people joining in from the cars and all that many times during this pandemic, and from the airports and all that. But I think probably this is the first time I'm seeing somebody online from the as a speaker. As an attendee, I have seen, but as a speaker, this is the first time. So welcome, Lakshmanan. It's great to see you, and warm welcome from all of us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. In fact, it is just quite a last moment decision from my MD that I had to rush off to a project in Rajasthan. So I had to take this train, which was no choice. The flight was quite going to be very different. Anyway, not taking too much, wasting much time. I'm very happy to have the introduction. So that's so nice done. And I know Mr. Saxena is my almost 20 years senior. And this company where I am working, Rockham Separate System, this belongs to Mr. Kamlesh Goyal, who is Novo. His sons are running these systems. They started this in 1992, cleaning the earth. They usually provide this RO plants to all the industries like pharma, industries, distilleries, textiles, breweries, paints, everything. I mean, we have the presence of almost some 850 plants all over India and 15 states, and not to include Andaman, Nicobar also. In fact, we are on the cleaning process that people should not throw the water we are the first of cleaning the. When I got this job, I was quite happy. It was quite a different challenge. Although I've been only in shipping, doing dry docking, this, that, etc., etc. But this has given me a new challenge where I was told to that they had some 43% breakdown in most of the systems. Probably as Mr. Pallav Prakash told, the training is one integral part which is missing with the people, where people lack or the soft skill training, how to approach the clients, how to speak, personality traits and development, etc. I have been a mariner for almost 14 years sailing. After that, I've been in various companies in various regions. Currently, I'm global head maintenance with Robotics separation systems. So without wasting much time, sir, I'll just start my slide. And I would be grateful to Mr. Bhandarkar, who has been behind me, and I would really thank to him. He's given the impetus to do something on this shipping. In fact, from like so, I had a few friends in shipping who are still there in the training institute, where my internet connection is slightly, I think, unstable. In between, I don't know. Maybe it get disconnected. I was worried that initially the connection was going good, but as the train is moving, the condition seems to be very unstable. So, without wasting much time, sir, there are some main features about these technological trends in today's system, where this disruptive. I have technology, big data, blockchain, IoT, and AI.
Maybe if you put off your video, if you can put off your video, maybe things will be a little better.
Yeah, I'll put up a video, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right, sir. Maybe I'll put up a video. Yeah, I put up a video. So my question is like all these things are there. The impact of maritime latest technologies to seafarers' ability to cope up with the latest trends of automation, decarbonization, future fuels, renewable zero carbon energy. Then there was a study done by UK PNI Club on the crew mindset, how it is coping up with the today's challenges, certificate, cost of HEW, etc. As Mr. Sisna pointed out, gender sensitivity, boarding the vessel, and how we talk to them, how we treat them, how they are, let's say, facing the challenges. And then you have the communications with multi-crew vessels, where I myself sail with 4 to 5 crews like Russians, Burmese, Chinese, or even Filipinos. Now, the first topic is disruptive technology. Disruptive technology, we always talk about that artificial intelligence. robotics, drones, where we give a broader perspective of excessive automation and then situational adjustment of this parameter fitted from remote access. First, we need to make the people understand the algorithms of all these parameters. As when you understand the whole system, then it will make to minimize the making mistakes. Then there's a machine learning, where the machine is tracking, scheduling, and the logistics. And these things also helping in organizing cargo pipelines, creating some transport schedules, etc., etc., to avoid mistakes. So humans can make a miss or predict future. Then there is something called virtual reality, as took by many people, actually, which is completely and very different experiences, which replaces a real life environment with a simulated one. Then you have the augmented reality, augments the surroundings with additional digital elements to a live view, often by using camera or smartphone, which is already been existing with our today's people. Even class surveys by means of Google Glass is being carried out on various ships. Recently, we had some ships where the survey was carried out with boarding without boarding the ship with a Google Glass to avoid delays in the class ship survey requirements. Then you have this application of blockchain, artificial intelligence in shipping sector, where this intelligence, where the makers have reduced the power to weight ratio, maintenance free, easier purpose to PMS, partitions, PMS, stringent or lesser port anchorages. Also, operations with safety design criteria, etc., are also there in parallel systems being done in a very large scale to ensure trouble-free, smooth operation and with lesser maintenance of adoption, so that the equipment in in largely is with more of automation than of a mechanical systems for a free watchkeeping procedures. Those ships have been equipped with a lot of sensors to collect data, technical advancement. The data has to be processed and in real time. So real-time data can affect the route optimization, but in order to have a higher level of autonomy, the entire maritime industry relies on artificial intelligence, automation, data analytics. We have a lot of things in this automation, like smart monitoring control, propulsion systems, control system, defense technology, blockchain. So these systems have the value to by connecting ships, people, ports, and digitalization of ship operations generates a range of data that helps you to better inform operational decisions across the whole fleet. For better construction techniques enhanced by 3D printing, modern robotics, and virtual reality to make the better ships, keep environmental regulations and systemly in a view modern shipping, building, and maritime industry as a whole as a makeover with the recent advances in technology, like the magic of 3D printing, the intelligence of shipbuilding robotics, the futuristic plant of ballast-free ship design, the energy efficiency of LNG, solar and wind power for ships. Then you have that bucky paper featherweight material, which is this autonomic shipping environment clean force. Recently, I just seen in Finland they had run a ship controlled all these processes.
I think we have lost him. The signal was becoming weaker and weaker. Yeah, he's coming in.
I think I'm getting disconnected, sir, once in a while.
No, now you're okay. Now
Yeah, thank you.
You can upload your share your screen. Yes.
Benefits of green ship recycling, ensuring hazardous materials that pose a threat to the human life are properly disposed of. Also, the workers of protection are carried out for recycling them with the correct procedures. Although the industry is growing very fast pace, with automation going at a very fast scale, but the men at sea, they are not ready to accept the challenges in the same pace. So people are taking their own time. The shipping industry where proper tracking is essential to ensure necessary transport system to be managed. There is still people are struggling for the safety process and confidentiality. Next is the infrastructure, the port management. Port management is one a different subject. The ports today with a lot of economic exploitation or long-term development or upkeep of port infrastructure, the fairways, berths, etc. Authorities have been having a broad regulatory powers relating to both shipping and port operations. In fact, today with the latest systems, the port, the captain himself with additional associate girders like fin stabilizers or bow thrusters, his maneuvering to close waters has been much easier without the elimination of pilots. So nowadays, the pilots are not needed when the ships have got all the latest technologies. Not only that, port authorities are leased under private sector. Actual operations are entrusted to private sector assisted to get the more effective output of the stipulated by the relevant laws and regulations. In fact, efficient and reliable services are maintained in whereas associate infrastructure to meet the user's need. Port operation manager is responsible for all the transition, but he needs to be in close contact of various industry groups such as customs, quarantine, stewardess, shipping. Digital twins. Digital twins is like something a very safer design and operation of digitalization. A big data. Digital twin is a virtual model, generally almost designed to accurate or reflect physical objects, improve profitability, enhance plant efficiency, and apply green productive smarter plants. With the help of a digital twin, companies can test and validate a product before if it can exist in the world. Data are there to manage ship sensors for predictive analysis which needed to prevent delays. Dual fuel engines are also there in the subject. I think this has been discussed into various marine structure where the innovative designs and approvals have been given for the engines for dual fuel with a lot of changes in the nozzle and other thing to reduce the fuel cost for the owner so that the cheapest fuel impacting consumes the daily needs of a ship. Lubricants are the next, which form the major source of consumption, are also reduced to a great extent. Ethanol has been the latest subject of interest in the industry. By creating a replicable plant production process, a digital twin, engineers are enabled to identify any process failures before the product goes into production. Special stating in automation or troubleshooting of niggles of daily routine whilst in operation or creating a replay of plant production. This digital twin enables engineers to identify any process failures before a training is must for senior officers with the latest innovative trends. Impact of this maritime and seafarers mobility. This is another subject where we always think that have we really have the purpose of zero accidents? Although DG Shipping of late has disapproved many of the issues due to mismatch in curriculum, not meeting the DG approved standards, there are still surplus seamen, cadets still waiting to get a break in the ships. Although they have done all the courses, modular courses, major or minor courses, 1,500 numbers every year are in excess, where India known to be affiliated to him are not getting the breaks, while many others are unable to cater the jobs, but there are people still struggling to get a decent break because only the cream of the students get absorbed easily. Engineers trained in tech or navigation or vice versa. Nowadays, both the navigation and the engineers, they have to get trained in the other part of the system. The engineers get trained on the deck operations and vice versa. Training modular courses which are so much growing in prominence that even updation in this STCW courses every 5 years has become a challenge for most of the seafarers. It may look like in a commercial this thing, but it has become because to keep up with the latest trends and the technology innovations, this has become a very tough thing for the today's growing seamen because this also has to be done. Although DG Shipping has done during this pandemic, they started the training online and all the courses were uploaded online. We find the testing procedures, the test carried taken by the people, the training given by the trainers is still lacking some cutting edge to the system because I find people are still not adept in when they go on sports ship, they still look nonplussed, confused how to start the system. It is like starting from once again because we have got so many technological trends, still people are struggling on this thing. My next topic is decarbonization, future fuels, and renewable carbonization. Decarbonization has been the subject in the because this is a vast amount of fuel and questions over which countries emissions make reaching the agreement a memo is a glacial task. The most achievable way today is using of charcoal, but that's not practically possible in everywhere. The process to make 95% of world's virgin steel, decarbonization, rethinking to produce consume energy, renewables, low carbon. In practice, getting to zero net emissions, switching to clean energy has become a very, very difficult task. In developing economies where much of the coming stock will be built, decarbonization involves a net zero carbon emission. In longer term, we may require a lot of economic incentives from the nation or a rapid focused system to save the future of climate. Increase the energy efficiency, positive consequences, long term or quality. Now, solars. Loss of solars, STW, policy. Although we keep listening to the people, these are becoming very part because there are so many systems have come into today's world. In fact, the seafarers, once they go on board, they need to be trained on many of the systems apart from the modular courses they get trained, like the flooding or the rules related to safety, pollution, or the various certificates of SOX and NOx. Then there is a soft skill training for these people or bridge team management. Or everywhere we find that there is a language as has become the basic language. All people don't or with so many rules enforced and document compliance mandatory, it has become tough for a seafarer to sail on a ship with so many mandatory regulations. Gender sensitivity. Being them as up in sarcasm on masculine tone. Thing is environmental management interventions. Gender equality generally refers to equal rights, responsibilities, opportunities for women and men, boys. Equality does not mean that women and men will become the same, but women's and men's right responsibilities will not depend whether they are male or female. Gender implies the interests, needs, and priorities to both of them taken into consideration. Achievement of equality and realization of human rights, including initial development, require a gender responsive institution where the strong governance and robust systems are effectively participated by both genders for decision making and with gender sensitive policies and measures for faster transformation of gender relations by addressing and regulating the root causes of gender inequality. Mainstreaming a gender perspective is the process of assessing the implications of women of any planned action, policies or programs, strategy, making the women and men's concerns are integral dimension in implementation. Communications. This has become a very important part and tool of today's requirements with a multi crew like if the Europe mix or Chinese mix or Filipino mix. I have explained 3-4 mix: Burmese, Chinese, Sri Lankan, Bangladeshis. This one language, English, also is not very comfortable with most of the people because they're mostly we end up in misunderstanding, and this can lead to a lot of bad actions, which does happen as somebody told between 1 to 3, the dog watches. The action happen only between 1 to 3 and 3 to 5. These are the time when the actions happen maximum. Recognition of fact is interpersonal relations between this multi-crew and health is become very important, fundamental for maintaining a practice of critical skill. The problem with communication is a illusion. Never have those words been truer than our digital age. We have created a gazillion of different types of sending messages and losing communicate with each other. First, most objective imperative is necessary is the message. Second imperative is the message. Communication has been described on the plan communication which helps NSA achieve its mission in the long term. Where it institutes are providing these skills to the seafarers, but not mandatory under DG umbrella. Soft skill development, personal development, verbal interaction are becoming more important for the training the seafarers because to understand the safety manual in one common language when most of seamen are from different mediums of languages, it looks difficult for the training ensures the operational acuity understood by all for pictorial explanations. Shipbuilding, repairs, recycling, where we are and where we should be. Shipbuilding is where environmental and climatical changes issues in shipbuilding have given a lot of air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, or oil pollution. Ships are responsible for more than 80% of the air pollutants. Activities in shipbuilding are highest directly concerned with the environment, like the metalworking activities, metal cutting, welding, grinding, surface treatments, aggressive blasting, coating, etc., and the ship maintenance and repair activities. And recycling. Post-pandemic, we have seen a decline in shipbuilding yards. In fact, many yards in China, particularly closed down. China, India almost command 30% of recycling capacity. In Bangladesh is around 25, Pakistan and Turkey command 9 and 2% respectively. These figures are just by the analysis of IMO covering for the last 10 years. Highly versatile is used for the making of the integral structure. Steel has been for years. Excellent properties low cost. Every year between 6 to 700 ships are scrapped. The largest shipbreaking countries are China, India, Bangladesh, Turkey, and Pakistan. Although Norway has played a very key role in developing international legislation ship recycling and the country to address the conditions ship scrapping in the UN's Maritime Organization in 1999. In 2009, IMO had adopted the Hong Kong recycling. His aim is for practically eliminate accidents, injuries, and unwanted health and environmental effects of the ship scrapping. At first country in the world, Norway ratified the convention in June 13. We're entering into force.
Mr. Lakshman, if you can please make it a little faster. We are behind schedule.
I'm finishing. With this recycling, I end up my subjects. Although the topics are quite long, I will not take much time with the hazardous and other things. I would thank my friends, Shant Tripathi or Mani, who are in the Amet Business School, and largely to Mr. Bhandarkar, who gave me a chance to say something for compiling all these things. To end, to create competencies, as I say, to summarize, to create competencies, update the older ones is necessary to develop a number of courses in training dedicated to lectures, persons who have a background of professional information. These systems are required. With this, I thank you all for a patient listening from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshman. Sorry, I had to, sort of, come in and, but anyway, I think you've given a very good, broad overview of the industry and various aspects, because the technologies are there, new technologies, but how they are being used in the maritime sector. That is a very important thing which you had touched on. Okay. Especially the use of artificial intelligence and the digital twin. I mean, not only the ships, but even in the port operations, this is becoming a very important part. I mean, today we have ships which carry almost 15,000-20,000 boxes, which you see, the containers which you see on the road, 20,000 of them on one ship. And when a vessel discharges or loads that kind of containers, I mean, you need to have some kind of, technological support so that there is no confusion. Okay. The environmental issues have been one of the drivers of the technological development, especially on the engines, the types of engines, the type of fuel, etc. Okay. Over-regulated, yes, our industry has been over-regulated. This has been one of the very big challenges because the number of seafarers on the ship constantly keeps on coming down. The workload keeps on getting increased. Not only the normal work of a navigating or an engineering officer on the ship, but more importantly, all these other things, dealing with the paperwork and all. So it's quite a challenging job. And then to cope up with the new technologies is very, very difficult. It's a challenge by itself, actually. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Lakshman, for joining in, and have a good trip. Thank you. Okay. With this now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Great. Now in fact, you're working with Mr. Goyal. He was, company of Mr. Goyal. He was 4 years my senior, and his family had done a lot for Institute of Marine Engineers.
Sir, he is 64 pass out. I know you're 64.
I know. He's 4 years. He is 4 years my senior. Yes.
Yeah, he is 64 pass out. Yes.
Correct.
I am 88 pass out. Aapka 20 years junior hu main.
Yeah. Okay. So, gentlemen, we have the second speaker, Mr. Mahesh Patil, and I'll just introduce him to the gathering. He is also a chief engineer and specializing in the carriage of liquefied gases. He also holds the Class 1 certificate of competency, and he is a BE mechanical. Okay. He is presently working as a marine engineering faculty as well as the quality coordinator for the Samudra Institute of Maritime Studies, Lonavala, since 2013. He is continuing on his pursuit of knowledge, and he is presently a PhD research scholar with the Indian Maritime University, Chennai. He is the academic faculty for engineering discipline for the graduates and undergraduate students. He has also executed the role of Chief Superintendent of Examinations for the IMU in the institute. His expertise is also there in developing and conducting of various courses for simulator courses for liquefied gas cargo handling, as per the requirements of IMO as well as all the other international bodies. He has sailed on the ships for many years and up to the rank of chief engineer on very large gas carriers and LPG carriers. He has a total sailing of experience of about 18 years and operating and maintaining machineries in spite of very strict budgetary constraints. He has also collaborated in planning and execution of the dry docking conversion projects, as well as various other issues related to the classification societies, vetting inspections, etc. He's also worked on the effective implementation of quality management system on board ships and audits, and he is, as you know, he is presently also the quality coordinator in the Samudra Institute. So with these words, we welcome Mr. Mahesh Patil, and I request him to please continue with this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Saxena sir, for the kind introduction. I'm sharing my screen right now. Sir, is the screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. A very good evening to the honorable guest of honor, chairperson, eminent members on the panel, and also in the attendees. We have just now our Samudra Institute head, Captain Subhendu Hati. He has joined as attendees. My colleagues and dear students. So a very warm good evening to all. It's my pleasure to present technological innovations and trends into maritime training. The sea of education content is growing daily. There is a constant need of innovative training models that need to be harnessed for the content, as stressed upon by Commander Pallav Prakash just now. So these innovations are making our teaching learning process faster, smarter, and better day by day. There's a demand for a curiosity-based or guided learning, allowing the students to choose their own ways of learning, focusing mainly on the focus for training should be mainly on the individual itself. The facilitators as only a medium for transferring the knowledge. So as you can see, the knowledge can be split into two broad categories. Explicit knowledge is the knowledge that is on records. It is structured and it can be shared, reused, it can be read. So I look upon it as a competency development for maritime. Whereas tacit knowledge is the knowledge that is mainly skill-based, or it comes through experience. It's very difficult to be written, and that is like proficiency development for a seafarer. So this tacit knowledge is the essential part of team success. So with this, I would like to introduce the topics today. I will be touching upon the maritime education trainings, instruction models that are oriented, theory-based. They are oriented towards mainly the competency development. I will be also looking into the trends of innovations for skill developments. Mainly the innovations have been in the areas for workshop, practicals, blended learnings, simulators, which are attempting to bring the training into more a realism. Of course, there are some limitations to those trainings. I will be discussing those in this presentation. Then, as a part of my own research activity, I'm going to introduce augmented reality as an approach to maritime training. I have conducted some experiments, and I will be presenting some statistical data for measuring the effectiveness of this new concept, augmented reality, onto the maritime training. So, seafarers' career progression, that is sandwiched mainly between the layers of shore-based maritime institute training as well as shipboard training. So that is the main structure how it is conducted. So the sailors, they go on board, they get trained there, and they come back again. They attend some classroom-based trainings and simulator-based trainings, appear for exams, and that is how it is sandwiched. So all the training, as mentioned previously by Dr. B.K. Saxena sir, it is very strictly guided and by International Maritime Organization's STCW code. It is recently amended in 2010, which is setting the minimum qualifications for qualifications and standards for seagoing personnel on merchant vessels. So a lot of advancements have been done in training seafarers for developing their proficiencies, assessing competencies, especially in critical maritime operations. A state-of-art ship in campus, full mission navigating simulators, liquid cargo handling simulators, CBT modules. These are some of the remarkable milestones into maritime training so far. But there are some limitations. Though a lot of advancements have been done, there is a constant need for training to become more and more realistic. So that is a challenge for the maritime institutes or the training modules that have been made. On board also, the shore-based training, the shipboard training, which was mainly carried out by the senior professionals on board. Now, day by day, with the advent of reduced manning levels, time constraints, the shipboard training is getting affected. At the same time, the sea time for the juniors, that is getting reduced. So the shipboard training is becoming less and less effective. So there is a need to build and assess the skills, evaluating the proficiencies. So as mentioned by Commander Pallav Prakash also, developing skills is more important than just mastering the knowledge. Disruptive tech innovations has happened recently. The latest one is into teaching is the online virtual education, that because of the COVID-19, it acted as a catalyst, and the whole world very quickly it embraced this digital innovation. Though this tackled the shortage of seafarers and the supply to the industry was continued, but that also brought in some limitations along with it. The limitations mainly that we could read out where the training was not as effective as the classroom-based training, or where there was a human interaction. So there were a lot of distractions in the training method. Then the second important thing that came in was the development cost for the modules. Internet connectivity is always in standing issue. Security breaches, hackings, and ethical practices. These came into as limitations to the digitalization of training. So we are in a constant need for sustainable innovations. So these sustainable innovations, though just now, sir, Lakshman sir mentioned as disruptive, but I feel they are more like sustainable, going to be sustainable, because they are been slowly progressing over the time. The rate is very fast of the data processing, but each thing is getting validated before it is being implemented. So the digital technologies, they are finding role into enhancing maritime training as well. The big data is holding a key promise to the education sector. I'm sorry. At the background, we have got MATLAB as a popular computing toolbox, Python, machine learning, data science, artificial intelligence. All these things inspire MATLAB. At the background with MATLAB, we have built libraries called as Matplot library, that is Matplotlib. So these technologies are being used for real-time traffic monitoring, for controlling the machinery, continuous monitoring systems, weather reporting on a real-time scale. There's another sustainable innovation. The immersive technologies are coming into the training and assessment areas. It started with virtual reality, and then slowly it shifted into mixed reality and augmented reality. So my focus would be mainly on the augmented reality part. Augmented reality is superimposition of interactive virtual 3D models, elements, data onto the physical real world. The effect can be measured, or it is going to affect the cognition. So the cognitive load on the learner during the training process can be broadly categorized as intrinsic load, extraneous load, and germane load. This intrinsic load is the inherent load, that is because of the complexity. Some modules, some training is inherently complex to understand. So the learner has to take that load. It cannot be altered. Whereas extraneous load is mainly on the dependent on how the instructional design is made, how the instructions are designed, how the system is made or developed so that the learning becomes easy. Whereas germane load is the load taken by the candidate himself, and that is mainly coming from the interest level, motivation, his own attention span. The higher the interest level, the reduced will be the germane load. So in totality, the intrinsic load cannot be altered. Extraneous and germane load are the areas which can be touched upon. Now this augmented reality has got a good role in reducing extraneous load and germane load. Already augmented reality has been started implemented, being used in the industry. We have got CEO and Tech Guide, which enables engineers, as you can see in the picture, a trainee is overhauling a main engine fuel valve. So the maintenance procedure, everything is coming in front of you. There are 3D models, animation videos, and instructions. Even it is read out aloud so that he can hear the instructions. He don't need to memorize it. So that way the extraneous load as well as the cognition is improving here. Another example was Virtuila. So here, the augmented reality technology, it is simplifying the troubleshooting and the speed of service. Virtuila is doing it in stern tube equipment. So it is also making the task of inspection, alignment, measurements, even on site, much simpler and faster as before. It is saving the cost and time. Eastern Pacific Shipping, EPS, they are running an remote LNG bunkering simulator. So this year, the participants, they joined remotely from, they may be from the home, they may be from ships or any part of the world. Instructor is at the base, and by wearing the headgear, they can join in onto the class. They find themselves on a deck of an virtual ship, and the training is conducted. Complete training is conducted in a very safe and controlled manner, and the results are proved that the retention is also longer when the training is done with this immersive technologies. So merits for immersive technologies have been studied, and there are researches going on studying the effectiveness. So one study was conducted at a Nigerian Defense Academy by Mr. Martins and his team in 2019, where 40 students were put under the training, and the research question that was asked was, how does AR increase motivation and engagement of learning? So the outcome was that AR technology can engage students' learning process and help to improve the visualization skills, and of course the motivation part. On similar lines, one pilot study was conducted in October 2021 at our institute, Samudra Institute, Lonavala, with the 30 BTech students. So the pilot study was carried out using Williamson Ship Management's AR Magic Lens. This tool was used to teach the students bulk carrier cargo tank arrangement, the hold space arrangement, and the cargo tank hold cleaning procedure. And then after the demonstration, the students were asked to answer some open-ended questionnaire. So prior, the familiarity test was done, where we found out at the beginning of the training, almost 66% of the respondents, the students, they were new to this technology. The environment for the research was, they were not very familiar towards it. They just heard about it from the friends, or 23% of students had read about it in the articles, and only 6% of the students had actually handled it through the games or the training. So that was the level of awareness. From there, we started the experimentation. Then the results, the variables such as clarifying the concepts, understanding motivation, attention span, learner's interest, usefulness of this technology to develop proficiency, and also the usefulness in understanding complex principles, phenomena. So that is like for developing the competencies. So that were analyzed. This hypothetical statements were made, and the testing was carried out using chi-square analysis method. The significance level was at around 5%. So the inferences drawn showed around 46% enhancement in clarifying the concepts. And as I mentioned earlier, this is greatly influencing the extraneous cognitive load. 60% enhancement in motivation and developing proficiency. 70% students reported they found it more interesting, so the attention span and interest level was higher. And these factors are mainly contributing for reducing the germane load, the overall cognitive load. So as a conclusion, better education methodology has been explored, experimented to enhance the teaching learning process, to address the complexities of maritime sector. Remote training is becoming more realistic, equipped, and it is more technologically enabled. Approaches with AR, VR in variety of domains is maturing day by day, and it is widely accepted. And so the newer avenues to address this the emerging issues. Formative research revealed that AR technology has favorable impact, and for future research, a scientific model is being placed so that can be used to gauge the training efficiency for all the new developments that are happening. But there is also a challenge here. The challenge is like any other digital technology, the security and ethics, that is going to be a challenge which needs to be taken care. So with this, I come to an end of my short presentation. Once again, I would like to thank Commander Bhandarkar, Sir, Marine Engineering Division's Chairman, for giving me an opportunity to talk about this favorite topic. So I hand over this session to PK Saxena, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Excellent presentation. My compliments. You touched on the trends in maritime education and training and the scope of it. And interestingly, you talked about let's say the reduction or the degradation in maritime, onboard training, because of various factors, and the importance of mentoring, which was also touched by Commander Pallav, because you see now, earlier the people got trained by the seniors, but today the number of people are less, the time available for the seniors is less, and another challenge is you see different nationalities. They say, why should we train you? You see, I mean, because you will take up our jobs. That kind of a mindset which is there. So onboard training has taken a big beating. You addressed the use of augmented reality for the training. It's very good, and the two studies actually which you mentioned is very good, and I'm sure the people have benefited from your presentation. And on behalf of all of us, we thank you, and I want to especially wish you well with your PhD project.
Yes.
So very nice, and God bless you. So thank you very much. So with these words, we have come to an end of the formal presentations. I just saw that there are two hands which are raised. With the permission, Commander Bhandarkar, can we take these two questions?
Sir, all yours, sir.
Okay. So there's one by Mr. Mukherjee, which is addressed to Commander Pallav. But maybe you would like to address them yourself, sir, Mr. Mukherjee. I'm sure Commander Pallav has read your questions in the chat box. Are you there, Mr. Mukherjee? Okay, let's see. Meantime, Engineer Vijay Singh, sir, can you address your questions directly to Mr. Pallav? You're addressing to him. I think these two gentlemen are probably busy with something. Commander Pallav, if you have noted those questions and if you want to add up something or you want to say anything.
I can't see the questions. If you can read out, I can do that. I saw one question by Mukherjee, J. Mukherjee.
That's
For
right,
someone
yeah.
who by definition is a non-techie, you mentioned harnessing computing and advanced technology. You mentioned certain IT skills, leadership, soft skills for capturing big kahuna jobs and keeping catch. In this regard, what all certifications would you advise to undertake if I am to be absorbed by a commercial shipbuilding company like Sembawang, and what all certificates and minimum AI and IT should I make myself aware of to cement my folio in the company? So my question here is, my answer here is simple. Certifications, and I keep going back to that. Certifications, competencies, these are things that are there today. There is some STCW regulations; those are laid out now, and you need to follow that. That being said, with time, these certifications would change. The most important thing, as I have always been emphasizing, is develop the skill and not the technology. You may have certificate A today, certificate B tomorrow, but if you are not adept at managing the technology, which should be your core skill, you are not going anywhere. So I would say, don't get into the specifics, develop the skill. Once you harness the skill, you would be able to manage it. So that is what I would always recommend people, and that is how I would always suggest to go about.
Thank you.
Does that
Thank
make
you.
sense?
Yeah, thank you, Commander Pallav. And there's one question by Mr. Vijay Singh. I'll just read out. Sir, we are working on seamless technology in maritime industry, which is still quite a challenge as regards to connectivity and economics. How these two areas will be addressed? Connectivity issues and economics. Yeah.
Again, these are the challenges. I remember those days when the days of GPS and companies would charge a bomb just to provide a GPS position and a membership and Inmarsat and so on. I also now see the days of those GPS on mobile phone where everything is done and there are no charges to it. So the world has changed. The world will be changing. Now, connection technology, communication technology would change. From what I understand is, just so, for example, downloading of Google Maps, downloading of charts, planning your trip well in advance. All of that can be done, and as you move further, you keep DRing, and with that also, the accuracy is so much that at least you would get some position. So and once you get one signal of any type, any band, any width, technology exists to convert your voice and videos, to send it across. It's just a matter of time when this technology is thrown free for anyone and everyone at sea. It's just a matter of time. So I would suggest, these are actually not challenges. These are problems that have been solved. It's only a factor of time when it comes to the whole mass or the whole community. Does that make sense?
I think you really addressed the 2 points. Yes. It's always there, things will always be changing. So the goalpost keeps on moving up and down.
Correct, sir. Correct, sir. You are so right.
Okay, gentlemen, I think we've come to end of the session. I'm not going to do any summing up, as it was mentioned in the program, because I have to, address those immediately after the speakers. So I think I'll hand over back to Commander Bhandarkar, and I want to thank him for giving me this responsibility of moderating this session. And I want to thank the three speakers, Commander Pallav, Mr. Lakshman, and Mr. Patel, for taking these initiatives and being with us. And a wonderful session. I'm sure each one of you has done a lot of preparation. So thank you once again from my side, and back to Commander Bhandarkar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful conduct of the session. May I request Engineer Bindu Mohan, sir, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. I'm Bindu Mohan. It is a very good topic that was chosen for today's evening. technological innovations and trends in maritime training. And welcome address was given by Mr. S. Kannan, our chairman, MRDB, Dr. Bhandarkar, he has given the address, and Mr. Ranganathan, chairman of CATE, he also addressed. Dr. H.O. Thackeray was not present. Dr. B.K. Saxena, he has summed up, he's the moderator, and he has summed up, I mean, he has led the total proceedings very nicely. Commander Pallav Prakash has addressed, he was the guest of honor, and he has also done very good. Mr. Raju Balaji was not present, chief guest, and Mr. P. Lakshman and Mr. Mahesh, they are the panelists, and they have very nicely narrated all the technological innovations. And Mr. Mahesh A. Patil, being the youngest of all the panelists, I wish him all the best. And last but not the least, I thank the Institution of Engineers India for organizing and making this function a grand success. And besides that, last 1 month or more than 1 month, our chairman MRDB, Mr. Bhaskar Bhandarkar, he was very much organizing all the things, and I thank him once again for all the interest he has shown in organizing this one. Thank you very much, one and all.
Thank you.
We'll conclude the session, sir. Saxena, sir, with your permission, we'll end the session.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Commander.
Thank you so
Hello.
much. Thank you
Thank you so much. Bhandarkar sir, thank you.
Namaskar, sir.
Right on. Chalo. Bye.
All the best. Saxena sir.
Bhandarkar ji, Saxena sir,
Saxena
all
sir,
the
thank you
best.
very much.
Good night.
Chalo. Okay.
Saxena
Good to
Kannan sir,
see.
thank you very much.
Yeah, Lakshman.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll
Yeah,
meet.
good to
Nice
see.
to
Good
see you,
to
sir.
see
After long
Karan
time.
and Bindu Mohan. Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Chalo. All the best. Yeah. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.